Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Vin Ho, the author of the book Geoarbitrage, How to Start an Online Business and Live as a Digital Nomad in Thailand and Vietnam. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my book and experience living and working in Thailand and Vietnam. So, first of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I decided to become a digital nomad. So I was living in Minneapolis, St. Paul in Minnesota in around 2017. And about a year earlier, I had experienced a job loss. And I wanted to take some time to think about my next steps. And I didn't really feel like going back to corporate. And I was around late 30s at the time. And about 2016, I came across a guy named Johnny FD, a content creator living in Chiang Mai, Thailand. He's probably one of the most famous digital nomads. He's making money online, traveling the world. That's someone who inspired me, and I wanted to pursue the exciting life abroad, living overseas, traveling the world, making an online income. So that's kind of how I stumbled across the digital nomad movement. So while I was in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, I had three goals in mind. One is to make money online, and I had chosen the drop shipping pathway because that's what Johnny FD was doing, and a lot of other people were making money doing that. Number two, I wanted to visit and make more contacts in the exporting and supply chain industry, particularly in Vietnam. So I have some experience with that import export, and so I wanted to expand that network. And number three, I wanted to date someone seriously, get to know somebody as a life partner. So those were the three goals I had in mind going into 2017. All right, so August of 2017, I landed in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and the reason I chose that city is because it's the digital nomad capital of the world. That's where Johnny FD was based, and a lot of other digital nomads trying to make money online. And it's cheap, affordable, and very supportive environment. I had learned a lot of good things, and it was a good place to start your digital nomad journey. And so I spent the next 6 months or so kind of getting my feet wet, networking, attending events, trying to make some contacts, having fun while I was there, starting my YouTube channel, video editing, starting my dropshipping businesses, and things like that. So I guess that was kind of the introductory phase of my digital nomad journey, and I started in Chiang Mai, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good move to start there. So I was very, very happy with that move. And then after 6 months, around 2018, I decided to move to Da Nang, Vietnam, which is a coastal beach town in the middle of the country, and it's kind of up and coming. So it's a lot smaller than Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. And it's kind of a medium-sized city. It has everything that you pretty much will need. It has, for example, the beach, obviously, co-working spaces, cafes, and markets, shopping center. There's lots of outdoor events and activities, and lots of sightseeing that you could do there too. So Da Nang was my base for the whole year of 2018. And I guess there's some pros and cons of living in Da Nang. The couple ones that I mentioned is it's a beach city, so if you're a outdoorsy beach person, it's a good place to be based. It has a lot of fresh air, less traffic than the other bigger cities, and it has, like I said, the beach and the coast there. I rode my bike every other morning along the beach into the hills, so that was one of my favorite pastimes. And then in Antung, the foreign expat neighborhood is very, very walkable, convenient. You really don't need a car or a motor scooter. You can get around very easily. The beach is only 10 to 15 minute walk away. There are a lot of restaurants, convenience stores, eateries, and things like that. So Da Nang is a great place to be based as a digital nomad, and I enjoyed it immensely. So in Da Nang, I really established a routine. I would work out in the morning, first thing in the morning. Then I would usually stop by at a cafe and journal for another hour or so. And then around 9 a.m., I would start to work on my online businesses, my e-commerce stores, drop shipping, etc. So I do that up to about noon, and then I would have lunch, usually eating out, just downstairs or just an alley or street away. I'd get takeout, work a few more hours in the afternoon, and then I would stop around 4 or 5 p.m. and try to get dinner. So that was kind of my daily routine. I would do that Monday through Friday. And then during the week or weekends, obviously, I would meet up with some friends, attend some networking events, and it was a good life in Da Nang. Overall, I enjoyed it. However, after a year in, I found it to be a little bit limiting, meaning there wasn't a lot of nightlife or it wasn't cosmopolitan, very international enough for me. I'm used to more of the cultural arts, a lot of business networking, events to attend to, and things like that. So Da Nang was good for that time period, uh, and I enjoyed the amenities there, but I was looking for something bigger and better. And so by 2019, I moved to Ho Chi Minh City. So Ho Chi Minh City is a large, bustling, about 10 million population. It has pretty much everything that you can want or desire or need there. Lots of big shopping centers, cultural arts, big nightlife. Dating life is wonderful. It's an amazing part of being a digital nomad there. There's a foreign expat community, and you can get pretty much any type of food from burgers, tacos, anything like that. And so it was very very convenient living in Ho Chi Minh City. And while I was there, I was continuing to work on my online businesses and trying to make progress on them. However, after about a year in, I was approached to start a Vietnam sourcing office for an international manufacturing and exporting company based in Shanghai. And so I helped them open the Vietnam office shortly before COVID, and then I was stuck for a couple of years, kind of being based there with limited activity. But that's what I was doing, working on my online businesses and then helping with the sourcing aspect. I would travel to a lot of manufacturers, and we source a lot of equipment, tools, and machinery for our Western customers. And so that was pretty much my job there. And I enjoyed both aspects of working for someone as well as working on my online businesses when I could. And that leads me to the Geoarbitrage hacks. So in my book, I write a lot about the pros about living abroad, and I found them to be very, very true. And some of the reasons and aspects you'll find when you go abroad is, number one, you buy back your time. In the West, we're kind of in a rat race. We're always busy on a 9 to 5, and you really can't do anything outside of your job. You're very, very limited because we're from early morning to late at night. We're dedicated to working for someone else, for a company, etc. So it's very, very hard to have the energy afterwards to do your own thing. And the reason why that is in Asia, especially in Thailand and Vietnam, is you've got, for example, you can live in a serviced apartment. So the apartments I lived in, about once or twice a week, there was cleaning included in my contract. So rent is very, very affordable, maybe $400 or $500. I could spend $700 or $800 to get a very nice apartment in the city center, very modern, with maybe 2 bedrooms and everything that you need. And then the cleaning was just phenomenal because I wouldn't have to clean my apartment; they would do it for me. So that's one way I would save time. And the other part is food. Food is so cheap; I could get it outsourced. Nearly every street corner in Thailand and Vietnam, I could get a very cheap meal for $1 or $2, and then be on my way. Or I could get it delivered by Grab. Grab is the Uber kind of application app that you can get on your phone. Get food. The food delivery is very, very cheap, maybe $1 or $2 for the delivery, and the food on top of that is $3 or $4 US. So maybe a Western burger and French fries and a drink delivered in maybe 10 or 15 minutes to my doorstep would cost about $5 or $6 US. So very, very reasonable. And then third is the transportation. In the US, you have to have a car, so you have car payments, gas you have to get monthly, and then the maintenance and the insurance. So it all adds up, and it's a few hundred US, if not $1,000 a month, just to have a set of a car so that you can have access to transportation. But in Asia, in Thailand and Vietnam, like I mentioned, there's a Grab service. So you can call a Grab motor scooter in Vietnam or a Grab car in Thailand. And again, it's a lot cheaper than Uber. It's maybe $2 or $3 US one way. So very, very cheap. And then I could go out and drink with my friends, have a few drinks, and then call a Grab driver. Within minutes, within 3 or 4 minutes, he'd arrive at the place that I was at and then bring me home 10, 15 minutes later, again for $2 or $3 US. Could not beat that. So it was amazing. I was saving so much time and money. Number 3, affordable vacations. You can be based in Southeast Asia and then go to, when you're in Thailand, you can be in Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, Bangkok, or at the other places around the surrounding area. And it's very, very cheap. The accommodations, hotel per night is so cheap, maybe 20, 30, 40 US dollars a night. And then the ticket to get there by plane is usually $50 one way, and then getting the food and all of that. So it's very, very affordable compared to the West. You'd have to save a few $1,000s at least, and then pay 100, 200 US dollars a night for your accommodations at a nice hotel. And then getting tickets for any event or activity, you could pay an arm and leg just for that. And then if you have kids, you're paying thousands of dollars for a week's vacation. Whereas in Asia, it's very, very affordable, very, very affordable, maybe a few $100s at the very least. And then number 4 is the cheap healthcare. I was paying everything out of pocket in Asia, both countries, Thailand and Vietnam, and it was very, very cheap. The major checkups or anything like that, maybe 40, 50 US dollars. I recall getting my teeth cleaned for maybe $10 or $12 at a time. Things like that. It was so affordable, so accessible. Whereas in the West, you have to have major health insurance just to afford it. And then on, and then you have to pay just for the major surgeries or doctor's visits. All that could be hundreds of, if not thousands of dollars if you get major surgery or anything like that. So cheap healthcare definitely was the way I saved a lot of money in Asia when I was living abroad. All right, so it's not all roses. There are some downsides of living abroad, and some of them are pollution. Asia, Southeast Asia is not as clean, the streets, as in the West. You'll see a lot of garbage on the side of the road. You'll see people burning trash. There's a lot of plastic in the streams and rivers. And then the heavy traffic in the bigger cities, you'll notice like the air pollution is horrible in Bangkok, in Hanoi in the north, or Ho Chi Minh City to the south. So a lot of the motor scooters spew out pollution, and that can take a toll on your body and over time. So a lot of foreigners do complain about that. Now, there isn't a lot of serious crime like murders or shootings in Thailand and Vietnam, unlike the West. If you go to Chicago, Miami, New York City, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, anything like that, there are major crimes, and people will tell you don't go out at night, and most people don't. They stay home. And whereas in Asia, it's fairly safe. I would say a lot of the women feel safe going out 2, 3 a.m. With a group of women or girls, or even by themselves. They don't have to worry too much. But there is petty crime. especially in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. There are purse snatchings. If you leave your phone out or anything like that. I've had my phone stolen on me once from my back pocket. I realized someone took it when I was just preoccupied. Another time is I got someone broke into my apartment, stole a couple of laptops and cameras, and he was able to get into the screen door by climbing up the side of the apartment. So that does happen occasionally. And then third is the lacking of the rule of law. In the U.S., where I'm used to, you could press charges against someone, you can do a police report, they'll get back to you. It's pretty straightforward, black and white, and you feel protected that you can't have someone violate a rule or law. For example, like tenants, a lot of times in Vietnam, you pay a deposit, but then a lot of times when you check out a year later after the contract is done, it's really hard to get the homeowner to return that deposit to you. They'll kind of just take it and they won't say anything. You can bug them, you can text them or call them or whatever, but they just drag their feet because they really want to just keep that down payment for themselves. And you'll see a lot of the foreigners complain about that. Where in America, if that happened, then you just press charges. You call the police, you file a report, and then they force the owner to pay that back. And so it's pretty straightforward. And then finally, there are a lot of scams. You've got a lot of people trying to trick you, whether it be the taxi driver or late at night at the bars or anything like that. So that's something you got to watch out for. Whereas in America, other than like phone scams or credit card or identity scams, that happens quite a bit. But like just walking in the streets, I don't really have anyone coming up to me trying to sell me something or pull a fast one on me. So those are some of the differences between the US or in the West and then living in Southeast Asia. All right, finally, Geoarbitrage, how to start an online business and live as a digital nomad in Thailand and Vietnam. It's my second edition, and it can be found on Amazon.com. You can get it there for under 20 bucks, or you can visit Vietnam for digitalnomads.com, and then you can eventually find the button to purchase it on Amazon. It'll take you through the Amazon site. So it's about 100 pages, and it's well laid out. I kind of give you my background story and talk about the advantages of going overseas, and that's why I called it Geoarbitrage. Geoarbitrage means making, I guess, a higher salary from one country or environment and then spending it in low-cost countries. So you're really taking advantage of the cheaper rent, the food, the house cleaning, all the services that you can get for so cheap. You can get a nanny. For example, my wife and I had our baby Vicky over there, and we hired someone for the month and paid her like $500 to live at our apartment and take care of Vicky for us. I had other friends that had larger families that would hire cleaning ladies and all that for very, very cheap. And so that's the type of services that you can get used to overseas. It buys back your time. You can leverage that and work on your online businesses. And so in the book, I talk about those types of attributes as well as some of the online businesses that you could pursue and some of the, the benefits of living overseas for whether it be 3 months or 3 years. And then I talk about the different cities and the pros and cons of living in those cities, as well as different resources. So I go into some of the resources that you can read about to find more information about starting your digital nomad journey. And I also talk about and finish with I talk about 3 people, friends of mine who made their lives, made a living overseas, and I talked about how they did it. And then so you can read about more information about them and be inspired about living abroad as a digital nomad. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out, and I hope you find that helpful. Thank you very much.